Welcome to episode 47 of the Whatnauts Review Show, where every week we pick a story and we talk about it. Could be a movie, TV show, anime, manga, comic book, audio drama, all kinds of different entertainment. We watch it, read it, whatever we need to do, and then we come back here and we talk about it. My name is Melissa Wilkinson. Oh, dang, I almost forgot my own last name.
It happens sometimes.
Because I never need to tell it to you, Kyle. You remember.
Not at
My
all.
co-captain this week and every week is Kyle Springer.
What
Kyle,
up?
how are you this morning?
I am doing well. I slept good, but it's one of those nights where it was too good and I didn't want to wake up.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that's where I'm at right now.
At least you're nice and rested.
In the show we're gonna talk about, there's a couple of scenes where the character wakes up and he just has like bed head and stuff like that. I'm like, that's how I feel right now.
Mm-hmm. Well, I forgot I was supposed to do the intro, and then I forgot, no, you read your entire name. So, you might be doing it. That sleep did you some good. I could have used some more sleep.
Sounds good. Well, what are we talking about this week?
We are talking about Mob Psycho 100. This is season 1 of an anime from...
22, 23, 24,
Well, I didn't write down the year, but it's a recent show. Like season 2, I think, is airing right now or has just aired.
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Mob Psycho 100. I've been hearing a lot about that show recently. I think it's also on Toonami.
Oh, that seems like a good fit for Toonami.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like it's a very popular show. And I'll be honest, I was not expecting to like it very much, but I did a lot.
Yeah, it's a good one.
There's still some things that I don't like, but I think overall it has a lot more depth than I was expecting. Like I think I mentioned last week when you pitched this, or it was on the captain's log that we did, which is one of our other podcasts. But I tend to stay away from like mainstream.
You did
anime,
tell me this.
Yeah, just like the mainstream shonen anime. It usually doesn't click with me. It used to growing up, and then after a while, it was just like, no, this is not good. And so yeah, there's a lot of things that are super popular that I'm just like, that doesn't look good at all. I don't understand.
Yeah, this is from the creator of One Punch Man, and so it's got some notoriety for that, but it's actually much less successful than One Punch Man. And my roommate,
Which baffles me.
Yeah, my roommate, this is one of her favorite anime, and she showed me the pilot of both shows, and she's like, I know One Punch Man is the big one, but Mob Psycho 100 is the creator's favorite, and it's my favorite. And out of the two, it's the one I ended up liking a lot more. So I really wanted to finish off the rest of the season. I just watched that pilot before I pitched it to you.
There you go. Yeah. Good stuff. So let's dive into a synopsis for people who have not seen it yet and might need to be sold.
The main character is called Mob, which is a Japanese play on words for like bland, faceless, like background character. Like he's the super ordinary, featureless, charmless, just normal 15-year-old boy.
In the mob in the background.
Yes.
Around. Okay. Interesting. That makes sense.
And he has psychic powers. He's like got this incredible telekinetic skill, and he works as an apprentice to this man who runs the spirits and such consultation office doing exorcisms. But that guy has no psychic ability whatsoever. He is an absolute con man, and he is making everybody think, oh no, I'm doing most of the work here, even though it is his assistant. Like, he has to have Mob follow him around and solve all of these problems.
He sees ways to legitimize his business with, he actually can do this stuff. If I have him by my side, they'll think it's me. You know? So this spells money.
So it's a lot of that, and it's also a lot of Mob dealing with other kids at his high school. He has a younger brother who doesn't have psychic abilities, and you follow the younger brother and his stress about, will I ever be able to do what my older brother does?
Mm-hmm.
And there's other psychics that are out there that are posing a threat. There's a lot in it, which surprised me. It grows a lot from what's in the first episode.
Weird, yeah. I mean, it's weird to me because I've also seen One Punch Man. I think in a previous iteration of the review show, we covered season 1, and it was kind of what I expected. It had some really, really funny moments, and it made fun of some things, but it just kept using that same joke over and over again. So it's like, oh, okay. 2 episodes in, and it's still using the same things. 3 episodes in, still using. Okay, 4 episodes. Okay, well, this is tired.
I guess the creator put all of his real storytelling know-how into Mob Psycho.
Yeah, but then like this, I think, kept surprising me with more and more depth. It's like, oh,
yeah,
like the characters are actually developing. There's actually some like good drama between the characters. There's, like, what is this?
It goes to like really emotional places. Like you're kind of not really on the edge of your seat, but like the last couple episodes throw some like twists in that I was not seeing, and I could not really predict where the show was going to end up.
Yeah. So it's an interesting show. I definitely say check it out. I think we both watched it on Crunchyroll. It is available on that.
Yeah, the Japanese language subtitled version is on there, but they did have several like international language dubs if you want to watch it in German or Spanish or Portuguese.
It's weird to me that they didn't have the English dub.
Yeah, I'm not sure why.
But I mean, I know that there's a lot of people out there who are like, subs are better, subs for life. So there you go. I say check it out. The artwork is also interesting. I'll say that's the one thing I didn't like, actually. Just because of how visually it is, just because of how visually it is, that makes no sense.
I was expecting just a series of title cards and narration.
I just wanted no artwork at all. No, there's a lot of different art styles.
There is
in it, and I think they're all really cool artwork styles, but because there's so much, it's just it's hard to it was hard for me to latch on to one specific thing and be like, okay, this is it, this is what the show is going for. But it's good. It's good. There's a lot to look at and take in, and great character development, and there's some really funny moments.
And the opening credits are incredible. Yeah. Like, start watching this, and I think you will be sold on the opening credits.
I have a theory that if the opening credits to an anime are not only good but catchy and have like a lot of production value put in them, then the show will be good too. Because I've seen a lot of anime where the opening credits were just awful. This is so bad, and then the rest of the show is bad, and then there's ones like Ghost in the Shell and Full Metal Alchemist and Cowboy Bebop, and they all have these amazing songs and opening credits, and it's just like, and the rest of the show is good too. So who knows? I think it's a conspiracy. But before we move on and get into spoilers, let's do a little bit of housekeeping for everyone. I guess the first big major thing is in about a month, we will no longer be live streaming this show to the public. We have been live streaming this on our Twitch page and on our website for anyone to watch if they just want to pop in or follow along at home. But because this is kind of a book club style show, it's not really conducive to people just popping in and joining the conversation, especially if we are spoiling it for most of the episode. So we are going to be switching this to a private patron-only live stream, which you can get on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/thewhatnights. Slash the Whatnauts, not the Whatnights. I cannot.
Those are our
speak
superhero
today.
alter egos.
The Whatnights. Patreon.com/the Whatnauts for a single $1. That will help us out a lot. In fact, we are actually only $1 away from meeting our first Patreon goal.
Yes.
So if one of you out there listening to this wants to help us out and still be a part of the live streams, then that would help us out a ton. Just $1. It's pocket change.
Yeah.
Go look in your couch cushions.
Your couch can be one of our patrons.
Exactly.
The couch
and
gets all
thanks
the
to
bonus
Jimmy's
stuff.
couch. But yeah, so we have a Patreon where you can support us. Speaking of that, we also want to give a shout out to our patrons at the $5 tier. So thank you to Christine and Sam and Eric for helping us out. That means a lot each week. It helps keeps the lights on and our mics on, and for some reason I don't know why my lights look so light. Like it feels
you're
like there's
very
not
illuminated.
enough. Like I did this setup last week and it was the same but different. I don't know what was up with
I
that,
think
so
there is less saturation this week.
Yeah, something like that. I don't know why it's doing that. Who knows? But yeah, that I think is major housekeeping. Last week we did an episode on Perfect Blue.
Yeah, another anime.
Yeah, which is one of my favorite anime movies. We don't do anime all the time, but
yeah, it just happened to be 2 weeks in a row. Yeah,
2 weeks. That being said, we are also about to record a Patreon exclusive episode on some episodes of the X-Files.
Yeah, we're going to start offering at the $3 level, correct? You will get about once a month a bonus episode that's the same basic format as the review show, but the topics we're going to be covering are like a little bit more specific or more obscure or more curated, or just they don't quite fit into the normal review show style. Like we're not doing season 1 of the X-Files or the X-Files movie. We are cherry picking out 4 one-shot Monster of the Week episodes that are all by the same writer.
Yeah.
Yeah, basic format, but just, wilder and weirder topics for us.
Yeah, so if you want more information on that, go support us on Patreon at the $3 tier, and we will help you out, and you guys can follow along at home, which is exactly what we want you all to do.
Yeah, join us.
That being said, let's get into spoiler territory, spoiler mode here. There goes our little spoiler alert. For everyone. So now we're in the thick of it. This is your warning. If you haven't seen the show, go watch it.
It's good.
So Melissa, you had seen the pilot episode of this. What having seen that and nothing else, when you pitched this, what were you expecting?
I was expecting more like that, and the show really diverged from it. Like I was expecting Mob and Regan going on all of these spirit hunting adventures, and the show really gets into mostly Mob and his peers, like other kids his age, and Regan for a stretch only makes like a brief appearance in every episode until he like comes back more heavily at the end of the season.
Yeah, you kind of pitched it to me as it seemed like it was gonna focus more on the fake psychic, because since I hadn't seen the show before this, it was one of those things. I don't know which one is Mob, which one is, I've seen the kid with the like bowl cut stuff on the internet, so I figured that was Mob. I didn't know if that was the fake one, that was the fake psychic, or what. So I didn't know, but I was kind of expecting it to focus more on them and just like the stupid stuff that they get into. Like that first episode or two, where they go to like that haunted building, and there's the clients there. There's the one who's like, I don't know if I really believe in go, just like
exactly
more stuff like that, like a mix of like X-Files with like ghost exorcism stuff with like Better Call Saul and like that kind of stuff mixed in.
Yeah,
where it's
that
just
was
like,
what I was expecting too.
Yeah, so this kind of happened for the first like episode or two, and then it just kind of moved on and almost forgot about his mentor until the end of the show.
Yeah, Regan is really like relegated to the sidelines, and it's mostly about Mob and his brother, Mob and the other kids at school, that school versus the rivals at other schools, the growing supernatural threats in the city. But it doesn't come back to Regan a whole lot, but there's such an emotional payoff at the end between Mob and Regan. Yeah. And I kind of like that they didn't need to show Regan to us all the time to still have us absolutely believe that is one of Mob's best and strongest relationships in his life.
Yeah. Yeah, as we learn more and more about Mob and kind of why he's doing what he's doing, or why he acts the way he acts, like that's where the emotional and character depth comes in. But then at the end, when Regan kind of comes back and they have their little moment, by that time you're like, I understand now. Like, this makes sense. Okay. Because you have the whole thing with his brother and his younger brothers, like he looks up to him, wants to be like him, but they're not the same, and it feels like his older brother keeps distancing himself, and so he's sad. There's this whole thing there, and I think by time we learn about those connections and we're really involved in those things, it's like, oh, there's more depth to this show. Wait, where did Regan go?
Yeah.
Where is he? How does he fit into all of this? Because at first it just seemed like this really like shallow relationship. So, good stuff.
Yeah, I missed Regan for a while. I'm like, oh, he is still my favorite character. He's my favorite part of this entire thing. So I wanted more of him all the time. But also, like, I get how the show balances itself and everything that it's doing. And I kind of like that we did have that distance away from Regan to show us, like, he still has an effect on Mob when he's not around. Like, Mob still thinks about, what did Master say? What has Master taught me?
Yeah. Because he still hasn't really caught on that Regan doesn't really have psychic powers.
Or if he has, he's not letting anybody know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those things, because like they keep mentioning like, oh, I don't feel any aura around him. I don't, like, that's strange. And when they get to the end of the show, where Regan comes back and they're all fighting Claw, there's the one dude with the sword. He's like, wait, something's wrong. Like, but he, like most other characters in the show are like, something's wrong. Does he have such? Is that what is going on? And then this bad guy is like, something's wrong. This guy must be really powerful, Yeah,
I do love when Mob is like, well, I don't feel any aura coming from him because he doesn't have psychic strength. He has spiritual strength, and that's different than mine, so I can't sense it. But I do like how the show kind of tricks you into thinking, oh, is he so strong that he can fool everybody into thinking he has no powers at all? Is this a really long con? Yeah, like you don't know exactly what's going on. I loved like the last 3 or so episodes of the show where it's like, oh, is Regan really the big boss of this giant evil corporation that's like trying to awaken psychic abilities in all these kids and use them as weapons? And he walks up there like he's the boss, and then you find out, oh no, that was just another con. He's just pretending to be the boss, and he's really good at it.
I mean, he's not even pretending to be the boss. Just everyone in that whole situation are just complete idiots.
Yeah,
That they all just
he says,
assume.
"I'm here to talk to my subordinate." All the lackeys think, "Oh, he's here to talk to the boss." Where he's like, "No, he's here to talk to Mob, his apprentice."
Right,
He just
right when
acts
he,
like he's the boss, and he walks right in.
because it fooled me too when that door opens and they're like, uh-oh, the big guy must be coming in, the big bad that we have to fight. And then it has the like the dark shadowy reveal of Reagan being there. I was like, oh, Regan's
Yeah.
the bad guy. Interesting. And then the next one he it's totally not. And I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
I really liked Regan's absolute confidence. Like, he's got a couple nervous moments, like, oh, is
uh,
Mom gonna find out they don't really have psychic powers? But there's other times where he walks in like completely confident, completely unflappable, like he has absolute belief in himself, and he's not a real slimy con man like you might expect. Like, he has some really good intentions and some good instincts, and he's charging people for something. Like, that woman comes in saying, like, I have this pain in my shoulders and I think it's because there's like a demon perching on my shoulders, and he basically like tells her like, oh yes, I'm doing all these things to get rid of the demon, but he's really giving her like,
giving her a spa day.
yeah, a really nice genuine spa day, and she's paying for that, really, and it seems like a fair price for that. I loved whenever we would go see what Regan was up to and all his little schemes. Oh, and the time when he was supposed to be channeling the spirit of this guy's deceased father, and the guy's like, "Dad, when did you learn to speak Japanese so well?"
Everything is translated to Japanese
This is a free
automatically.
service I provide. No upcharge for this one.
It's really funny. Yeah, there is I think, like I said though, there is a lot going on
Yeah.
with this show. I like halfway in, I was kind of conflicted to if I liked it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Because I liked the way things were going with his brother. They had only had a couple
Ah.
moments so far. We hadn't gotten the full story yet. And it was like, I really liked those couple moments. But that was it. They were just moments. Like, it's
Mhm.
not what the plot is focusing on. It's not, it's not a big point of, like, plot development or character
Mhm.
development yet. And I was kind of just like, I would kind of just like to watch that show.
Yeah.
Like, that's usually what really draws me out to a TV show or a movie. Great characters, great
Mhm.
writing with these
Yeah.
awesome character development moments and stuff like that. And I was starting to get that, but then there's these like wacky, stupid moments where he's giving someone a spa today, and she's like, "What the hell is he doing? Like, what the? It's so stupid."
Mhm.
And then on top of that, there is the like, it's not. I'm not sure what to call it. It's not like a chibi-fication. There is a lot of that stereotypically in anime,
Mhm.
where they become this like character
Yeah.
caricature, but it's very cute and
Super
fluffy
deformed.
and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, this is almost the opposite of that, where the characters become
Oh.
like grotesque and
Yeah.
yeah, it's not sketchy, but it's like you can tell they're
They,
using the pencil
yeah. They
drawings
get
and stuff like
those
that.
like dramatic like angles and shadows on their face,
It's
and they
it's
seem
almost like
really
a
solemn.
yeah, it's almost like a memification of just that one like
Yeah.
chunk, it does that,
Yeah.
and they're
Mhm.
they're sitting there with some stupid face on. It
Mhm.
seems like you would use that as a meme,
Yeah.
and I don't really like that stuff.
Mhm.
I I I can see how it's effective, and I can see how if used in moderation, it would be even more effective. But when shows use it constantly, that's
Mhm.
what I don't like. And I think this is a show that used it a lot, and I'm just like, ugh, something I am not liking very much. Like, I
I
get it. There's some dramatic moments. You don't have to be that dramatic.
I didn't mind it so much. I think because I liked by itself that over dramatized artwork. Like I loved the sketchy
Yeah,
line work the show would
by
do sometimes.
itself,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. I wouldn't want a whole show in that. It's a little
Mm,
bit
yeah.
chaotic, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, like if they had toned it down, not the art style, but the amount of times they used it, I
Hmm.
would have been totally fine. Um, I think a great example of a show that uses that whole like chibification stuff to a
Mm.
good effect is Full Metal Alchemist,
Oh.
or Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. It's in there, but it's not super often. And when they use it, it's to great effect, and then they move on, and the show continues. But you don't think of that show as like a wacky show that
Yeah.
does this like that. It's just
Hmm.
it's in these small moments where it has this great impact, whereas this just uses it constantly, and so it starts to lose the impact for me. Maybe it's just me.
Mm.
I don't know.
The show is playing with a ton of stylistic stuff. Like when they do that kind of finger painty looking thing, that thing, I don't even know how to describe it. Like everything gets very tactile and very like you can see like little things like move and scoot around. You're an artist. Can you describe that thing? That
Um,
painty thing?
I mean, we already kind of mentioned the like chaotic
Yeah.
nature, but there are the like what we were discussing before this, the like memification stuff where it goes to the dramatic shadow
Hmm.
and pencil looking stuff. This is a similar effect, though it looks more digital, and it's a lot more like neon and bright colors on a
Yeah.
black screen, so
Yeah.
it starts to look a lot more psychedelic than just like a pencil sketch on a
Hmm.
thing. um it's what the opening credits are all kind of in.
Yeah, and the end credits do it too, but in like a simple black and white.
Yeah, or if you've seen like the time lapse animations where a street artist will paint something and then paint over it and like paint it again, but have things moving, but you can still
Oh
see the
yeah.
like eraser
Yeah.
marks and stuff like that. That's kind of what it
Yes.
looks like, especially in the end credits.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, like I was also kind of expecting more things along those lines.
Yeah, those are really the two stylistic departures it takes, where it gets into that kind of like paint and erase, like real, like kinetic stuff, and when it gets into those like scratchy, really shadowy, dramatic pencils.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I can say I was actually expecting this,
Hmm.
but when you get to be like psychic stuff and that's kind of
Yeah.
the topic, one of my frame of references is the old Doctor Strange
Oh
comics, where everything is
yes.
just like 70s psychedelic
Hmm.
stuff, and the like neon colors and the way everything moved really reminded me of that, of those like those black light posters.
Yeah.
Have you seen those?
Yes.
Yeah. um and so I was kind of like expecting more of that, where like, oh, we're now in the psychic realm and blah 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 blah, which may have turned out to be really stupid if
Hmm.
there was some more of that in there. Um, but yeah, like it's one of those things. I don't know. I didn't know what to expect since I hadn't seen the show, and once I got in the show, it quickly pivoted from what I like the small amount that I did expect, but it
Hmm.
went to all sorts of different
Yeah.
places and stuff like that.
Yeah, it gets really involved with all the high school stuff. I like most of it. And I don't think there was anything I very strongly disliked. I think there were just episodes I watched when I was too tired and I didn't have time to go back and watch them a second time. Like the high school gang versus the other high school gang, like
So
glossed
dumb.
over me completely.
So dumb. Um, so that's it's that I think was the storyline in the middle that I was like, okay, this is starting to go in a very different
Yeah,
direction.
yeah.
Not necessarily one that I like. This is just
Hmm.
weird because he joins the the
The
telepathy
telepathy club. I do like the
club,
telepathy
and
club.
none of them have telepathy. They're just hoping to find someone that does.
They're just telepathy fans, really.
Yeah, and yeah, and then there's this whole thing where the body image
Oh, I love the body
improvement
improvement club too.
that
Because, like, in any other show, they'd be like these mean jocks, but they're super positive and supportive, and they just want to be buff.
and it's a great gag. It's a
Yes.
great joke, but it's one of those things like, what? Why is this even in here?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
this makes no sense, but it's hilarious. But
Mhm.
um, but yeah, it's just like the culmination of stuff happening in his high school. I think
Mhm.
you mentioned it earlier, where the show kind of pivots to this thing of or it starts to look like how Mob is going to find all of these psychic or find himself in all of these situations where he's gonna have to use his psychic powers, and just like
Yeah.
how an everyday normal like jocks versus the punks,
Mhm.
they're having a school fight and he's the geek that gets caught in the middle, um and yeah, like it's a fun little thing by itself, but it was a
Mhm.
weird turn of events of just like, why is this even happening? And then they move
Yeah.
on past that after it, so who knows?
Wow. I was just looking up, trying to remember everybody's names. The Hanazawa storyline I did think was interesting. He's that blonde kid in like the purple school uniform
Yeah, from
that Mob goes
rival
and
school.
fights. Him, I kind of liked that he's the big fish in the small pond over there, and he in opposition to Mob, who is just a background character. Basically, he thinks he is the main character of his story, and he's gonna defeat everyone because he is the main character. And Mob not only defeats him, he also like cuts his beautiful blonde anime hair.
Yep. He
And
has
then
the
like,
like the show does a weird thing to show stubble, where it's like the strip of hair on his head, or characters that have like
yeah,
a stubble
yeah,
beard thing, have this like gray
yeah,
on
yeah.
there, and then have this like the stubble lines. It's really strange. um but yeah, because of Mob's psychic powers, because of his psycho powers, sounds like we're watching Gundam. um yeah, like he just gets this like balding like anti-mohawk.
Yep, yep.
And
And
then
then
he moves to the Marge Simpson like water buffalo thing for a while. Like
I
what
think
was that about?
I think it's because like his psychic powers kind of took a bit of a hit. Maybe they come back at the end, but I thought it was like to make up for the fact that not only did he lose his hair, but he was psychically bested, and he put so much emphasis on his psychic powers. He's like, I really well, at least I can make my hair better. And if his hair is really tall, it's going to be harder for Mob to like cut the top of it off again. So he just
Except it
has
happens
tall hair.
again, kind of. Um, but isn't there one character that refers to it as a wig?
I think so, maybe.
Because
It's
they're
gotta
like,
be a
yeah,
wig.
they ask like rhetorically, like, is that a wig? You know. So you never really know if it is or not because it looks fake.
Yeah.
Like,
Who knows for sure.
but yeah, he was an interesting character. He had a good moment, I think, later on in the show, also when they're fighting Claw, when
Yeah.
Mob is about to explode, and his teacher is like, "You need to run. Like, we need to
Yes.
run. Like, there's nothing wrong
Yes.
with that." And then
Ugh.
the Marge Simpson dude is like, "No, we can't run. We can't run and defend at the same time. Like,
Mhm.
if we run, we will die." You know, and like both of them make sense, and it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, like if you actually just stay here and fight them, you can win. Like, we know you can, but do you need to fight them? Like,
Yeah, and like that's what Regan tells Mob. He's like, the biggest effect is going to be on you. It will be if even if you win, the fact that you exerted all of this power and you used it to hurt all of these people, even if it was for a good reason, that's going to hurt you. And I don't want you to go through that.
yeah, I it's I in my mind while I was watching this show, I was kind of comparing him to Goku, Mob
Mm,
to Goku. They're very
okay.
different characters, but they both have this like incredible strength
Mm-hmm.
inside them, and they both know it. But Goku is very sociable in the sense that when
Yeah.
he sees someone strong, he's like, "Hey, you look strong. Let's
Yeah.
fight!" And he's
Yeah.
just
Goku
happy.
wants to talk about
Go
his powers.
hockey, yeah.
Yeah.
And Mob is the opposite, where yeah, he's been taught to not use them, but as the show goes forward, he keeps finding himself in situations where he's using them,
Mm-hmm.
and he's kind of getting used to it, and it's becoming his first response.
Yeah.
And there's this like interesting push and pull of like, well, I want to protect the people that I love.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want bad people to cause other people harm. I can stop them by using my powers.
Yeah.
Or do I do something else? Like,
Mm-hmm.
where does this all fit in here? And he doesn't know yet, or well, not that he doesn't know, but there is that push and pull where there are
Yeah.
characters that are like, no, stay and fight, stand up for yourself, and then there's some that like, hey, it's okay to run away when you are in over your head, and like
Mm-hmm.
rethink it, and just figure out a plan after that where you don't have to be violent,
Yeah. Mob wants to be peaceful,
yeah.
ultimately, but it is that protective instinct that sometimes kind of takes over him. Like, and like he has spent so much time of his life being afraid that lashing out with his psychic powers will hurt his brother, until his brother's like, "Oh no, you never hurt me that day. You like used your psychic powers to fight off all those bullies. Like one of the bullies pushed me down. That wasn't like a psychic blast from you. I was fine." And then that kind of opens
Oh,
this
it's
door in
okay to
Mob's
use
mind.
these then.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Ugh.
it's an interesting thing. My comparison to Goku didn't work in the end there, but
Yeah.
it got me thinking more on his character, and just he's at this crossroads where he has it's a great power and he has a great responsibility, uh,
Yeah.
um, and he's just unsure of how to use it yet.
Yeah, I like that he's not so much a Spider-Man character. He's more of like the Incredibles, where one of the greatest responsibilities to having your power is to not overuse it and to use it like in very particular circumstances and make sure you don't
Yeah,
hurt anything.
yeah. So interesting stuff. Let's see who is.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit more about the brother, like the
Yeah, Ritsu.
relationship with him, because he has an interesting arc as
Yeah.
well. Um, which I think the moment that sold me on the show has to do with his brother, and it's
Mhm.
when they finally get in claw. Like I started liking the show before this. It's like, okay, I'm starting to understand
Yeah.
where this is going, but the moment that really sold it to me and I was like, I think I really like this show is when they finally all get captured and they're put in the same room, and the brother I think is like starting to apologize and stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
this is all my fault. I wanted to be like you. I thought you were distancing yourself, so I thought if I got psychic powers, all of that stuff. And the first thing that Mob does is just get up and hug him, and he's like,
Yes.
you're okay. And
Yeah.
immediately he just starts crying. Like,
Mhm.
where he realizes it's not like I think he puts two and two together, that he wasn't actually distancing himself
Mhm.
on purpose or anything like that, but he was one scared of hurting me, and that was like his whole priority thing was just making sure I was okay. Where here I was being like, hey, is there something on your mind? Do you want to talk? And he's
Yeah.
consistently like, no, I'm fine, blah blah blah.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
it's okay. He's like, all right, well, you don't seem like it.
Yeah.
But it's just this realization that like he's doing everything for me. Like he's
Yes.
doing all of that to protect me, and I was like, nailed it, perfect,
Mm.
so
I
good.
I did really love the relationship between the two of them, because Ritsu, like, he wants to be just like Mob, and partially it's because, when they're little kids, Mob's showing him his psychic powers, and Ritsu's like, do you think I'll be able to do that?
Yeah,
And Mob, not knowing any better, is like, sure,
yeah,
you're my
sure.
little brother, so you must be able to eventually. And it never really develops. And he wants this not as like a rivalry thing. He's not like, I want to be as good as my brother. I want to be better than my brother. Why does he have something and I don't have it? It's
Mm-hmm.
like, if I have this thing, that's only one more thing that's going to bring us closer. Like, I'll be able to relate to him. Like,
Yeah,
he doesn't have to be worried around me or anything like that. I can take care of myself. Like, we'll be closer to being real equals and real peers, in
yeah,
addition to being blood brothers.
good stuff. And then he actually does end up
Yeah.
getting psychic powers, and gets a little power hungry.
Hmm.
Once he's like, yeah, now I can like make a difference in the world and stuff like that, and blah blah blah, and he starts to turn bad.
Yeah, that stuff was interesting. Like, I liked it. I almost kind of wish it was its own separate show, like the stuff Ritsu was doing with the other student council members, where they're like cleaning all the delinquents out of the school, like kids that might like
Yeah,
show up to school on time every day and they're pretty good, but they just get in like after school fights. They're like planting all this evidence on them, like of all these crimes, to like just clean the school of anybody who is unsavory.
yeah.
That's interesting. Like that's enough to be its own
There
show.
was a lot of times where I was sitting there like, yeah, like I just want this one aspect to be the
Yeah.
entire show. It would be good enough to carry it.
Yeah.
um and then it begs the question of like, well, does it do a good job of mashing them all together then?
I think
Or
so.
if you separate them, will it really actually hold up? You know?
Yeah, I think almost anything in here could be its own show. Like the Telepathy Club could be a show. The Body Improvement Club could be a show. There could be this entire show that is just Mob and Regan fighting random spirits. There's the entire show of like Regan and Dimple trying to, Dimple wanting to be
To
so
possess him.
to ascend to being a god. That was neat too. Like all the different ingredients could be its own show, but instead they're all in this one big stew pot together. I
Yeah.
think it helps. Like, I like seeing how all of these different, for such a bland kid, Mob has all of these different facets to his life and all of these different things that are important to him.
Hmm.
And the effect of like the other student council kid also is this overbearing over brother, and that older brother affects the student council kid, who affects Ritsu, who affects the whole school, who affects Mop. Like there's all of these like ripple effects going around, and I
Yeah.
liked that show was a big pile of ripple effects.
Interesting. Yeah. That makes an interesting point.
The one thing I think I would have liked to have seen more of was more spirits, because like the first couple episodes, I think all feature a spirit, and later it gets more into just psychic powers, like just the telepathy and telekinetic part of it.
Yeah.
I guess just telekinetic. I don't know if there's any mind reading going on. It's all Jean
They
Grey. It's no
haven't.
Charles
They
Xavier.
looked on the internet and they couldn't find one.
Oh, I did love when Mob and the telepathy club president just sit on a bench and look at people. And she's like, "Do you sense anything yet?" And he points at somebody and she's like, "Oh, that's a psychic." And he's like, "No, that guy has a weird haircut. I just wanted you to look at it." Yeah, I liked all the different spirits they ran into, and I kind of wish there were like a few more spirits. Like the show kind of takes a departure away from that solely into the telekinetic stuff.
Yeah.
But I like the spirit world. There might be
Worlds
more
are
of that in
always
season
fun.
2. Yeah.
Potentially, yeah. We only watched season 1, so I'm sure there's people out there like, "You idiots! It happens in season 2," and then we yell back into the void, "You idiot! We only watched season 1."
Like when we watched Pushing Daisies a couple weeks ago, we just watched season 1 and we were talking about all the stuff we would like to see. And then I continued watching season 2 and I'm like,
It
"Oh,
happens.
just about everything is here." Like our wish list came true.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. I'm wondering if I have any other questions. Oh, their parents. That's what I want to talk about. Like cartoons have I guess a stereotype where the parents usually aren't there or just are barely in the picture.
Yeah, or they're just oblivious to what's going on.
Yeah, and that's kind of the case with this show where they're not oblivious, but they just don't care.
Yeah, it's
all.
just like another quirk. Like Mob keeps accidentally psychically bending spoons, and they're like, "Oh, Mob,
you to
when
get
are
rid
you
of that bad habit."
They're just kind of
That's
upset. Like, "Oh, well, now you bent another spoon, and now you got food on the table. Oh, Mob, when are you gonna learn? Ritsu never bends a spoon." That's the same beat every time you see their parents. Like all 3 times the parents show up, it's that same joke,
Yeah.
which is just enough. I did not get tired of that joke.
And so, yeah, like that is something that I think over the course of 13 episodes, having that joke only happen 3 times is a perfect amount. That like it's really funny when they just they're just as stone faced as Mob is, of just like, "Oh, you bent another spoon. Well, okay, clean it up," and that's it. Like it's not just like man, our son sure is something special. We should do something and like get him in some like psychic school.
At all. They're not impressed at all. And it wasn't like their job to get him into an apprenticeship. We see this really sweet flashback of this little kid, like grade school Mob, like knocking on Regan's door saying, "Hey, I saw your sign outside. Are you a psychic? Because I'm a psychic and I can't really talk to anybody about it."
And he's like,
"Can
"Who
you
put you
help
onto
me?"
this?"
He's like, "Did your parents send you here?" And he's like, "No, I just want somebody to help me."
It's like, I just want someone to talk to.
I loved all the flashbacks in this show. It didn't use them very often, but it used them to a good effect.
Which is again my point with like, if you have only a certain amount of flashbacks or jokes, they can be used to great impact. But if you do this thing where it's this memification and it's just this like ugly face thing every single episode on multiple occasions, it's just like, this is really tired. I get it. But yeah, they did use the flashbacks very well. I kind of want to know more about his parents though.
Yeah, like do they have any psychics like way back in their family history?
Are they psychics?
Yeah, is Mob
that
the first
why they
psychic in his
call
bloodline?
it a bad habit to like bend the spoon while you're
I learned
eating?
to stop doing that when I went to cram school and I got serious.
Yeah. Or what was I just gonna say? I was gonna say something about the parents not having but like what they think about the news, because there's also the like
Yeah.
reporter girl who I also really liked her
Yeah.
character,
I
who
was
wants the
expecting her to
story.
come back.
She did at the end.
Very briefly. Yeah.
um but yeah, she's we met her I think in episode like 2 or 3.
Yeah, the one with the smiley face masks and the
Dimple,
milk.
yeah. And she wants a story for the school newspaper, and she's originally gonna do it on the cult that Dimple has made, and she kind of switches focus to Mob because she now knows that he's a psychic, you know, and
That
so
was cool.
she's watching all of this stuff happen on the news, like the school got destroyed, and she's like, was that you? Like, I think that was you, you know? And so she's like slowly putting her, like, all these pieces together. It's like, I want the full story. One day you will give me the full story. But all of that stuff that is happening is on the news, is kind of my point. So what do Mob's parents think when they see that stuff? That's what I
are they ever
know.
worried? Do they like make Regan come over for dinner like once a month? Like, so what have you two been working on?
Yeah, who knows?
I did like
so much time with our kid. What are you two doing?
I did like the girls in this show. I liked that Mob had this little girl who he liked when he was a little boy, like years ago, and she thought his psychic abilities were cool. And then she was just more impressed by a kid in school who could run really fast. So that's why Mob joins the body improvement club. So he's like, oh, I want to be fast. I want to be strong, because it seems like that's what she likes. But she is like priority number 4 for him.
Yeah.
I liked that she was something that was something he wanted, but it was never a really big focal point for the series. And there are these other girls around, like there's the reporter and there's the telepathy club president, like these cute, charming girls, but it's never like Mob has a crush on them or they really have a crush on him. They're just also around. They're just also peers.
Yeah.
Like, I love a romance, but I also really like when a story recognizes like, oh, we don't need that much romance. Like, we put in just a sprinkle of it and that's plenty.
Yeah.
Like, belongs at being priority number 4.
It's one of those things like, yeah, we know it happens in real life, so that's why we mentioned it, but that's not what the story's about. So you know, that's, I think, always super helpful. Romance stuff and sex scenes, there's often way too much of it, and it's unnecessary in a lot of stories. It's just like, why are you showing us this? This has nothing to do with anything.
I wonder if Regan has any, like, because we didn't learn very much about his past or his personal life. Like, does he have a love interest out there somewhere? Like, what do his parents
inspired him to be a con man who's conning people into him being psychic?
Yeah, why is he doing this and not actually being like a spa day guy?
Like, or a
masseuse.
A masseuse, yeah.
Not a spa day guy. It's not a job you can have.
And what is your occupation, sir? Spa day guy.
Yeah, this show sometimes it gives us really neat like peeks into people's lives. Like I said, the other student council member that Ritsu is friends with, like he has this super impressive older brother who is really pressuring him, like, try and do as good as me, huh? And like that, you just see it for like a minute and it's like, oh, I understand this guy and I understand why he's like encouraging Ritsu to do all these things. But there's other characters that we see a lot more than like, can I get the same for them too, please?
Yeah. Exactly.
What the heck is telepathy girl? Like, what's her family like? What do her parents think about? Well, every week after school, I have to go to the telepathy club. I'm in charge, and we're just out there looking for telepathics who might eventually help me contact aliens. They're like, okay, honey, keep your grades up.
It wasn't even about telepathy. She wants to get abducted by aliens.
I love it.
It's just like, what the fuck is this?
There's so many great details in the show, like really funny details like that, or really emotional details like the student council kid whose name I probably should have written down because I thought he was interesting. Like there's great emotional beats, there's great comedy beats. There's neat like kind of mythology of the powers stuff too. We even talked about the actual mechanism of the show, which is that you watch Mob's power level tick up to 100% and then he
Mm-hmm.
like
Or it's his like bottled emotions.
yeah, yeah, how close he is to like overflowing and exploding and lashing out for like all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
That I liked a lot.
It's a good way to build drama and
Yes.
anticipation where you
Yeah.
actually have a counter that's just like, is that going to be the thing that sends him overboard, you know?
Yeah, and like you have no idea like okay, is he just going to explode one more time and is that at the end of the season? Like how often is this going to happen? And he hits 100 plus, I think like 3 or 4 times throughout the
Mhm.
season. And I love at the end where he transfers all of his power to Regan because he just
Yeah.
believes in Regan so much. I'm such a sucker for nonsense like that, where like emotions override like magical rules. Like, nope, he's my buddy, he's my mentor, and I have so much respect and gratitude for him, and he told me it's okay not to fight, so I'm not gonna fight. All my power is going to him, and he's gonna do it for me.
It seemed like that was kind of an involuntary thing, though.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
happened to be that Reagan
yeah. He doesn't do
touched
it on
him at the
purpose.
exact moment and just
Yeah,
like, hey, don't, and like at that
and then
exact
it's like,
like, yeah, it just all went into him because somehow you can transfer emotions, or it was, I think a mix of like transfer of emotions to Regan, but because of what Regan said, it was a different emotion
yeah,
inside Mob, and that's because instead of being at 100 and then going back down to
yeah.
zero, it was like he's now at 300%, you know?
Yeah, he's not at 100% stress. He's at 1000% gratitude.
Yeah.
That I liked.
Yeah, which is neat, which then I guess that would be something I would like to see explored if he has been
Yeah.
taught to bottle up all these emotions because hiding them, or I mean, because using them, I guess, like heightens his powers or stuff like
Hmm.
that. You know, um, if he actually finds reasons to use them or use them effectively, what effect does different emotions have on
Yeah.
his stuff? Yeah, if he is stressed or angry, we've seen him explode. We've seen him now be overflowing with gratitude.
Yeah. What if he's
What
just
happens?
very, very hungry?
Yeah, I mean, is hungry an emotion?
Yes. For a show like this, I'd believe it.
But like his like schoolyard crush, like what happens when he's overflowing with love
Yes.
instead, you know, like what happens when he actually is depressed
Hmm.
and he has sadness, you know, in
Yeah.
his life, you know, what
That power
happens
look
then?
like.
I would like to see that stuff
Mhm.
explored. So,
Yeah, this show has so much going for it. Like it packs a lot in. It's all interesting. I think it's balanced pretty well, and you always want to see more of it. Yeah.
yeah, it's good stuff.
I recommend it for sure.
um let's see, if you had to recommend other things to people if they liked this, what would you recommend?
This is not like a hey, check it out. This is like, well, welcome to many months of your life getting taken over. Because this kind of reminded me of those books I was reading all last year, the Dresden Files, which is very
Okay.
different. It's like this American novel series. It's an urban fantasy about a wizard who works as a detective in modern day Chicago. But Mob Psycho 100 reminded me of that because it's also very much about like your relationship to your powers and how your emotions affect your powers and when
Interesting.
you don't use your powers, like when you need to like put those back on the shelf and like think your way out of a situation, and like the physical toll those powers can have on you, like if you're too tired, like it's a major conflict throughout the series where he's just going and going and going and he's like, oh no, like I am too tired to do magic anymore, like I can't do it. It's not an a giant unending well, like the well runs dry.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a 15 novel series. It's still going. It's huge. It
And
took
there's
me,
comics, and there's,
yeah, there's short stories. There's a tabletop RPG, which I've had like three different friends like come over to me like, hey, do you know there's a Dresden RPG? And I'm like, I do. Thank you each and every time for reminding me about it, though. I'm glad like you come to me with this information. But like 8 novels into the series, he gets a mentee. He gets an apprentice,
okay,
and that relationship he has with her is also really sweet.
interesting.
So if you like sort of an internal relationship to a supernatural power and how that power can like should and should not be used, and like really strong mentor apprentice relationships,
Mm-hmm.
spend an entire year reading these novels, I guess.
There you go. There you go. That would be a big undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have a couple things to suggest. I mean, I guess if you haven't already, go check out One Punch Man, made by the same creator.
Yeah.
Similar humor. I mean, that would be the thing. I don't think it's as good of a show,
Mm-hmm.
but a lot of people seem to like it, so they're wrong, But no, I would say, yeah, go check out One Punch Man if you like the creator's work. I would also suggest Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, that's a good one. Yes. I
Yeah,
didn't think about
he's
Yu Yu
a
Hakusho.
spirit detective. He's a young, like, high school age boy who dies, and gets a second chance if he becomes a spirit detective. And there's a lot of fighting and use of like psychic spirit power type of stuff. So I think that one would be fun, and it's just a classic
Yeah,
anime. It's really
I have
good.
not rewatched that since I was like 13, 14
Oh, it's
years
so
old.
good.
I want to check it out again. That's another one my roommate really likes. I should have just asked her before I recorded. Hey, what are other cool supernatural anime?
So I would say that one, as well as go check out some Doctor Strange comics.
Very good idea.
Some of the more recent ones. I think Jason Aaron did a run on it recently. I think that's the creator I'm thinking about. But there's some interesting use of magic and fighting and stuff like that. And just weird, crazy stuff. And their refrigerator is full of things that shouldn't be in a refrigerator. The
Good.
stairways change every single time. Just
Yes.
that type of magic stuff. So yeah, I would say go check those things out.
Good ideas. Kyle, what are
Yeah.
your pitches, not just for the audience, but for me specifically for next week?
Yes, let me pull up my notes. I'm closing Twitch on my phone, so if you guys are saying stuff to us, I can't see it.
Sorry.
Let's see. Here we go. 3 pitches. No theme this week.
Okie doke.
We had been doing a lot of themes recently. My first pitch is Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team.
Okay.
This is a self-contained Gundam story in the original timeline of Gundam, and it's like a side story.
Okay.
So you don't need to know basically anything else that's happening in the thing. It's this like Gundam anime that takes place, I believe, on Earth, in this like jungle looking territory. It's pretty intense. I haven't seen it in a long time, but I remember loving it. And I think this is one of the few Gundam shows that is short enough that you can consume quickly, that you also don't need to know a million other things.
That's good.
And is fairly self-contained. So
How long is
it's a good, decent like starter Gundam. I believe
Okay.
it is only 12 episodes.
Okay.
That's 8th MS Team.
Okay.
Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team. That's pitch number 1. Pitch number 2, The Wind Rises.
Oh.
Which is a Studio Ghibli film.
Yeah.
And this is, I believe, like a fictional or something biopic or biopic. I don't know why people insist on calling it biopic.
Biographical picture.
When biopic sounds so much better.
That sounds like something Cyclops has. Like, no, Gene, I can't look at you. My biopics have been damaged.
My bioptic. Oh, no. This is a Studio Ghibli film, which is, I think it said fictional kind of biopic of the creator of some of the planes that Japan used. I think in World War One or World War Two, something like that. I haven't seen this film. Yeah. There's a couple of Studio Ghibli films that I have not seen yet, and this is one of them. So I thought, why not put this on the list, and maybe we will cross it out. Yeah. Studio Ghibli films are always fascinating and magical, and the artwork is incredible. That's pitch number 2. Pitch number 3. Because the movie is going to be out very soon, Captain Marvel Volumes 1 and 2 by Kelly Sue DeConnick. Volume 1 is entitled, I think, Higher, Further, Farther, More, or something like that. And Volumes 1 and 2 collects the first 12 issues. And this is, Captain Marvel, which she's about to have her own Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. Yeah. Added to the MCU, which is exciting. I think you and I potentially, hopefully we can get 1 or 2 more people on as well. Might do an episode of one of our other podcasts that we haven't done in a long time. No. The Reactor Core.
I think the last thing we reacted to was Ant-Man and the Wasp.
We've literally only done Marvel stuff on there. And that's not the intention of that show, to only do Marvel stuff. But it's one that just kind of fell by the wayside. But we're hoping to resurrect it, at least for this next Marvel film. And maybe there's other cool stuff coming out soon, too. This year has a lot of good movies and stuff we can talk about. Captain Marvel Volumes 1 through 2 is pitch number 3. Awesome. Pitch number 1 is Mobile Suit Gundam 8th MS Team. Pitch number 2, The Wind Rises. And pitch number 3, Captain Marvel Volumes 1 through 2.
I'm going to go with our friend Carol.
There we go.
We're going to read Captain Marvel. Because I've never read any of her before. And I know it's fun to be prepared before a movie comes out. Typically I'm not, but I really loved reading Infinity Gauntlet before I went to see Infinity War. Even if most of it was different, it's like, I tried to research. Let's see what happens. And we did just do 2 animes in a row.
So
let's mix it up. Let's do another comic.
I see Volume 1 on Comixology Unlimited. And Volume 2 is also on there as well. So both of the volumes that we are going to read are on Comixology Unlimited. You can read them there for free, or I guess if you're a subscriber to Comixology Unlimited. Volume 1 is Captain Marvel, Higher, Further, Faster, More. And Volume 2 is Captain Marvel, Stay Fly.
Stay Fly! I like it!
There you go. I'm going to put those in I'm going to borrow them, so it's in our Comixology Unlimited account.
Thank you.
Cool. I'm excited. I still need to get my tickets to go see Captain Marvel.
Yeah, same here.
You're seeing it on Saturday, right?
Yep. My friend and I are doing like an earlier Saturday screening.
Oh, that's
so
right.
We still have to pick what time.
We're going at 9 a.m.
No, we are. We haven't decided yet. I was just looking at movie times, and we could go at like 9:30.
That's such a strange time to go to the movies.
Oh, like that's when
like a giant like Coca-Cola and a thing of popcorn. popcorn 9:30 in the morning.
I'm a morning person. Like, that's when my brain will be active and ready to take it all in.
I'm so not. I'm the complete opposite. I hate waking up. I woke up at 11 today, and I'm just like, but that should be fun for next week.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, one more reminder: in a month from now, the end of March, start of April, we will no longer be live streaming these episodes of the review show to the public. It will be a patron-only live stream, which you can get for $1 on our Patreon, which is patreon.com/thewhatnauts. And I think today you and I are recording right after this. Again, we're not live streaming that one, but our Patreon exclusive episode for some of the X-Files episodes, which you can get at the $3 tier. So if you like our show or any of our other podcasts, you can support us there on Patreon. We'd love to have your support. It means a lot. We could absolutely use the help because we're just a small 2-bit operation. So if you like what we do, it would mean a lot. We just recorded an episode of the Captain's Log.
We did.
That was really fun. We talked about all the new Pokemon stuff and temperatures.
Pokemon.
Whatever
we did talk about man
means.
temperatures.
Go find out.
In my constant quest to find out if men run hot or cold.
There you go. If you guys want to find any of our podcasts, just search for the Whatnauts in your podcast app. We will pop up there. That being said, Melissa, where can they find you on the interwebs?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram at WilkyWit. That's WILKYWIT.
And I am at Yo Kyle Springer on Twitter and Instagram. And if you guys want updates for this podcast or any of our other ones, we are at The Whatnauts on Twitter. And you guys can always go to our website, which is thewhatnauts.com, for a little more information. Our site still needs to get updated. It's going to be a while, but it's slowly getting there. Yeah. And hopefully soon we'll have some more exciting news about maybe a new show.
Yeah.
So be on the lookout for that.
We are growing.
Say exactly what that is yet, which, is also another reason why we could use your support. But that being said, we will see you guys next week for Captain Marvel Volumes 1 through 2 by Kelly Sue DeConnick. Go check it out. We will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Click the button. Click the buttons. Go subscribe to our channel. Hit the buttons. Do all the things that I'm singing. Hit the buttons. Do it now. That's a terrible song. I'm so sorry.